design phase. This is just an overview of what it possibly could look like. This isn't the final plan. So we talked about construction costs, and we've seen this already, so that we know that option 1 is anywhere between 10 and 11 million. Option 2A, depending on if you have the enclosure or not, can range anywhere from 11 to 13. Option 2B, 13 to 18. Then option 3, 28 to 31 million. Okay, a lot of people are going to see that and like, okay, well, what ultimately does that mean? Oh, so before we do that, we wanted, Marty and I discussed that we really need to have an idea of what it's going to, what is it going to cost us to operate this. And Craig had mentioned that when you put $1 million in the ground, it's going to have an effect on your operating costs. So we went and got some similar data from HAR. I believe we also looked into Waukegan Park District. They built a facility very similar to one of the options, so we got their budget to kind of compare to see where we're at. So with option 1, we see that we would have an operating cost of $100,000. Might not be the first year, but over the course of it, that will probably average out to be $100,000 loss. That's about where we're at right now. You might see that first couple of years, it's really new and kind of exciting to be out there, and you might see a little uptick. Option 2, A and B, it jumps up. It's just because not a lot there, but we've got a lot going on in there. So there's not a supporting service or program that kind of offsets that. So there's just a lot more expense, because if you do the enclosure, then you're not in a 3-month period, you're at a 12-month period. That just means more operating costs. Option 3, actually, we project out, if everything's okay, to actually be in the black of $40,000. Of course, that, again, is our best estimate of what we should be able to do. Marty, is there anything that you want to add to any of that? I mean, I hit that pretty...
No, pretty much. It's just the options that we have, and then option 1, projecting a $100,000 loss, is based on the fact that right now our pools are losing roughly about $150,000 to $160,000 across the board. We're thinking that once the pool gets going, that's hard to peg where that 100,000, it could go down maybe 80 or 50.
Right.
It all depends on how that pool attracts people to offset the cost of running.
Right. Okay. So here's where people are really going to be interested in
Wait,
what we're
put
trying
that
to
back for 1 second, John.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. So $40,000 in the black for option 3, right?
Yeah.
So wait. So $30 million to get a profit of $40,000?
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, just making sure.
Right. I can touch them. Okay. So we're going to talk about sources of funding. So we know that we're going to have to do a referendum. There's just absolutely nothing that we're going to be able to do about that. So there are 2 things that we can do. We can either sell bonds, or we can do a rate increase. Okay, so bonds, it's just for the purchase of the bonds. You can, over a course of 20 years, but it will only pay for the bonds. If you do the rate increase, you could do a number that will pay for the bonds and possibly some maintenance costs. So we could cover that $100,000 loss if we did a rate increase. After the bonds are paid off, there will be no more tax implication. That goes away. So after you pay for it, you get really like a tax decrease. For a rate increase, it remains unchanged. Although there is a possibility, if you're at a certain point, let's say the bonds are paid off and you have too much money, you could abate some of that money back. That means just refund back the taxpayers. That's a possibility, although there's a lot of nuances into that. So if we did future projects after the bonds are paid off, any future projects will most likely require another referendum. We're going to have to go through this process one more time. Or any number of times. With the rate increase, once the bonds are paid off, you still have that pot of money to be used for other things. Playgrounds, parks, improvements to this building, build houses, you can purchase property. There's any number of things that you can use that money for. Any questions about that? Okay. So, your tax implications. You have your three options, or excuse me, your four options. So that's the high end of the projects. So based on a $200,000 house, we project to option one, you're going to need, you'll see a $57 increase for a $200,000 house. So for a $400,000 house, you'll have a $114, thing. Or what the best thing to do is just take that 57, divide it by 2, and then whatever the value of your house is, multiply it out. Okay. Option 2A, 6736. Option B, as you see, it's getting bigger because, of course, the dollar amounts are getting bigger. So for the option 3, it's going to be 165.82 per $200,000 house. So for a $400,000 house, I know the median is 350. So for a $400,000 house, you're at 325. Okay. So what does that mean? So depending on if you do a rate increase or you sell bonds, it's going to be $57. So that means it's a 1.1% increase in your property tax. So right now we're at 4.4. So you'll see it go up to 5.5. Okay? And then just add whatever that number is in this column to the 4.4, and that's the rate, the increase. Again, bonds, rate increase, it's the same amount. So now, if we do a maintenance, we do the maintenance, you can pay, it'd be $15.26 more to add the maintenance into, or that deficit that we project out, so that one, we're going to sink that money back into it or not. So unfortunately, this value right here can only be done in the rate increase. You can't do it for the bonds, but for the rate increase. So what does that mean? That's a 0.2% increase to the 4.4. So it's actually 5.7% increase for the total levy if you do a rate increase to pay for the bonds and to pay for that operational deficit. So total dollar value for a $200,000 house is $72.26. Spread out over a year, $6.04. So we'll present that to everybody, answer any questions that people may have, get their feedback on bond or rate increase, or whatever, just get their feelings on that, because that'll be important for us, because depending on what we want to do. Yeah. So then we'll just have the open discussion and talk about the next steps, answer any additional questions before we're done. So let me just go back here. So we've talked about these three options. I think it's so we have these three options, or these four options. This is your town hall meeting. If you want me to do all four options, we can put all four options in there. If you think it's best to do anything less, if you want to say, hey, no, I don't think we should be doing all four, it's going to confuse people, it's just way too much information. If you want me to do one option, I can do one option as well. It's your, you provide me the direction and I'll make sure that I do it. So, any questions about the overall presentation? Anything about the, the options or anything?
When was our last rate increase? It's been a while now.
I don't think we've had a rate
Are you
increase.
talking about a referendum?
No, just the rate increases.
We get increases through.
You get a rate for a CPI.
Yeah.
So based on the CPI and the cap, because you could get either one of them could restrict you to a certain amount. We've probably been averaging about 1 to 1.5% for the last, say, 10 years, based on the CPI.
Can you get a larger rate increase
That's what
by
we,
doing
correct.
this?
I'm sorry?
You can get a larger rate increase by voting for that rate increase rather than doing bonds. So
Yeah.
you can exceed that
Right.
cap.
Yes, we, unlike, since we're not home ruled, we're a special district, we have to do that through referendum.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that we should maybe pick like 2 options instead of 4. Narrow it down as to, I think we've all heard enough discussion of kind of what people were looking for.
And I think you also have to mention, we're going to be reassessed in September. So everybody's taxes, probably your property has gone up, so
Okay.
that's going to be done in September.
Yeah. Something that, we have comparisons of local park districts around here that we can use as to say, hey, where are we as a comparison? I understand that Glenview's not anywhere near apples to apples, but, they're at like 7.2, 6.7 or something like that. Everybody else around us kind of averages about that 5 point, but, that, people that's there, that's not here, so we really do have to make what is the strongest case for us to say, if that's what you guys want to do, we think that our best bet is to do a rate increase. Because eventually, so Oriole doesn't get paid off until 2032. Okay, so once that's paid off, it's going to be hitting 20 years. We're probably going to need to do some major repairs in there, because at that point, we most likely, the shell's going to be 20 years old. Pumps, deck, other amenities, we're going to have to sink money into that. Once this comes to a point where it's whatever project that you decide, we're going to have to do that as well. We struggle. We'd love to be able to provide more. We just kind of restricted based on what we're able to levy out. So, and those are just, again, I think that it's important to say that that's just where we kind of net it out. I mean, the 1.1 increase, that's just to pay for the bonds. If you wanted to increase the maintenance more than the 0.2%, we could do that, but really I think we're all conscious of what this is ultimately going to cost, and we're trying to be frugal or good stewards of your money, but look, we just, we can only do so much because we just don't have it in it. Love to do the ball fields as quickly as we want to be able to do, we just can't do that. Love to be able to purchase property for more parks, but, we don't have that ability to do that. So this building, in 20 years, or even less than that period of time, we're going to need some major repairs. So Keith and I, for the last couple of weeks, have been working on a repair and replacement plan. And we're not done. We're about 95% done. We're already between now and, because this was started with a prior administration. So at 2032, we'll be in the hole about $3 million in repair and replace costs. That's just for parks and buildings. That doesn't mean capital items. We just had WT Engineering do an engineering study of all the courts in the community, and I forgot that number. What is it?
$900,000.
Yeah, $900,000 to repair the courts, so that there's not cracks in them and things like that. So, how can we do that? We're going to have to make some tough choices. Take out, can we repair the playgrounds? That would take out 9 years of playground replacements. I don't think we want to do that. So, just some thoughts. So, I heard Mark say we should narrow it down to 2. Just let me know. What do you want me to narrow it down to?
Another good question.
Well, I'm wondering if
I think you
it's
should
better
narrow
to
it
do
down.
2 or just 2.
I agree with
If you come up and you start showing different numbers, at least 2, but for one, if
Do
you
we
can
do
agree
like
on
a
something.
low end, high end, or medium, high? Because the fourth option, there's a lot of differences in there. It's not just the pool or anything for it.
I'm sorry, the third option?
Option 4 or whatever.
Well, it's option 3, because there's 2A and 2B. So that's the indoor pool with the 2 gyms, the fitness. Look, I know, Mark, you know, maybe you should just pick one. And here's why I'm suggesting that maybe you just pick one. So we're going to go to these town hall meetings, right? So rather than put it out there, hey, here's all the information that you want, I can say, hey, here's the one option that we want you to consider. That way, all the information that we're getting is on that one particular
Right.
project, so that any kind of communication plan always addresses that one item, right? It gives us more time to sell the project. It does give groups an opportunity to like, hey, that's what we want. Let's go out, organize, help the park district sell it, kind of stuff. You know, if we wait until September, October before we make a decision, we're a couple months behind.
Right.
I mean, that gives them an opportunity, I guess is what I, ultimately, what
Could
we
you,
want to
could
say.
you go over all 4 options again? So everybody's,
Yeah.
Option 1 at $57.
Because
is
you
Oh,
don't-
19 cents.
I mean, what part do you
what
want me
there
to
is.
go over? Huh?
with that's just a pool.
Yeah, so this is, people just wanted, I want what is already there, but we've kind of updated it. It's still a 50-meter pool. We've separated out the diving, the activity pool, and the spray pad. It's all kinds of new. So, if we did decide to do this, I would suggest taking the bathhouse and moving it to the south. Because I know that, Mark, you had mentioned expandability. If we move this south, that gives us a better opportunity, and everything else moves up north a little bit. That does give this south area a better opportunity to expand. Okay, but this is just the pool. This is that one thing that they wanted.
So that's the one that's $57 for the $200,000
Yeah.
household, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this one is having the ability to enclose just the pool. Okay, so this is that one where you have the enclosure. And that goes a couple of $1 million just to enclose it. Again, this is a 25-yard pool, not a 50-meter pool. You got the diving pool, you got the plunge pool, spray pad, activity. You do have, an expanded footprint of the bathhouse just because there's some programming space, there's the programming room, that sort of thing.
And the cost of that, again, is per household?
Sorry, I hope you don't mind me flipping back and forth. So it's 57, 67, 98, 167. Okay?
But then that when the pool gets smaller and it gets enclosed.
We did take the high end, so it would be for the enclosure, right?
Yeah. Everything
Right.
else will be outside, but that pool will be inside.
Well, it's retractable, so we would
Okay.
be able to pull it back in the summer months, in the
Okay.
winter, fall, spring, it encloses. Right. So there's a retractable roof.
Okay.
There's a program room. We wanted that track thing, so. Oh, I'm sorry, I popped up a little bit more. Yeah. So they both have the retractable wall. I'm sorry, that's actually 2A. Again, not much of a difference between the two, but it has that second floor, and that's why they, increase cost. So, and then, sorry.
And what's on the second floor? Well, would the track be upstairs?
Yeah.
Or
It's a small track. I can't remember how many laps we have to go around for a mile. But yeah,
It's actually smaller than the one downstairs, right?
probably. I think it is. Yeah. for roughly, that's 27 laps just to do a mile down there, you get dizzy. So,
This one or the
And this
one
one is
downstairs?
smaller?
One downstairs is 22, right?
yeah, I said 27, but yeah. So, yeah, and this is the third option, that's the 28. So you have the warm therapy pool, 25-yard, 8 lanes, locker rooms, gyms, walking track on the perimeter of on the second floor. You have programming rooms, an entry area, and on the second floor, this white area is open for roof areas. So you have the fitness center, which is almost, I believe it's almost 4 times as larger as the one downstairs. Group exercise areas, access to the track. So,
The fitness center is 4 times the size, she does downstairs.
yeah, so downstairs, wait,
Option 2 is the ability to just enclose the pool. That's the only difference.
hold on, I'm sorry, I can pull that up.
One is 50.
So the health and fitness,
18 cents.
it's 5,000, no, I'm sorry, it's just a little bit more.
The option.
It's like 25% more.
So Jeff, just to be clear, option, the second option, that's the one that was, you said it was 67, I believe it was?
Yep,
And that's
67.
just, it's everything is option 1, but it's just to enclose the pool, have the ability to enclose it?
And the pool's smaller.
Yeah.
And how small is the pool?
25 yards versus 50 meters.
What would the cost? I'm just curious.
But you gotta remember now that we're gonna, you have a higher operating loss with options 2 and 3 than you do.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So it's great to be able to have this new stuff, but we gotta be able to support it, so.
Option 1 is 15 cents per day, you know, if you average it out.
Yeah, how do you break it down? I mean, you
It's
slice
15
it-
cents per day, you know, whatever it is, 50, 70 a year, 15 cents a day over 20 years, you know? I mean, it's,
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you break it down into, it's only open 3 months out of the year, you can provide it that way, I mean, however you want to be
That's
able to
true.
do it, so,
that is true.
yeah.
So how does everybody feel on an option?
Well, I mean, if we narrow it down to one option, we're still gonna get feedback, and you can interchange things to this as the thing too.
I'm sorry, interchange?
You know, people say, oh, I'd like to have it this way, or you're gonna get feedback. Even if you have 4 or you have 1, you're still gonna get feedback.
Yeah,
So-
so I think that what we would do at the beginning of that presentation is like, this is just what it could look like.
Right.
Final layout and design comes later on after through that process. So, yeah, we can call it, color schemes and things like that,
Yeah.
once it comes up, but yeah.
I kind of like
Okay.
option 1.
Well, I've heard, let's select one option, let's select 2 options.
I think we should, I feel we should select one option. I think we can come to a consensus how everybody feels. But I think our goal is to get a referendum passed, not sit at town hall meetings arguing about which option would be the best. You know, I think that's our job to pick the option. I think that's what
Well,
people like this one.
ultimately, someone, based on the way we've always talked about it, someone gives you a recommendation, you approve it.
Right.
But like I said a couple of months ago, I think you guys have enough information in front of you that you can make that choice yourself. I mean, you're elected officials, you're a representative of the community, you speak for the community, you're elected to make decisions so that they don't have to.
Right.
So you could do that.
And I like
It's
the
just, this
idea
is the way
of-
that we've always said that we were going to do it, but that doesn't mean that we have to.
And I think I like the idea of moving the bathhouse to the south of it. So in the future, we could expand there.
We could, yeah.
It's a wise decision.
Okay, so
So
I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, let me just say, I'm hearing that you want me to do one option, and that option is option one.
Well, that's my suggestion, I don't know what everybody else feels.
I got 3, maybe 4 that say just sort of head bobs. But I need you to tell me that this is the direction that you want me to do.
Mark, how do you feel?
I kind of feel we go with 3, the grand option, and we tailor it, and we listen to people, because we keep talking about we need to offer more than just the pool, and the referendum next. That would give us a fitness center, a track, which was one of the big things people were looking for. That's the warm pool, the exercise pool, or therapy pool.
Third point, warm
That was
water.
another thing, that would appeal. So, and I think we'd have to basically say, we have to look at our future, and what our future needs are, and not only paying for it, but what the community is gonna need in the future, and how can we provide that piece of land. I'm not convinced we need a gymnasium there, if we have it here. So there's tweaking that could be done to that plan, not only to get the cost down, but, do those 2 pools need to be indoor, maybe just the exercise or therapy pool, not the big pool. I just keep looking at all
Possible
scenarios and what we need to get that referendum passed to appeal to more people than just the pool. And then again, we educate them and say, this is not the final plan.
Right.
We can remove like the basketball courts and put a bigger fitness center in there than what we have now, a bigger track and that kind of thing. And doing the town hall meetings, I think we're going to find out, if that would be supported or not. And then to go back to the pool, just the pool. I personally, I can't see just doing the pool. For the amount of money we're going to spend, we already have a pool. That money we can better spend on the ball fields and stuff that, starting to deteriorate this. Those are just my feelings, but we have to look forward, not what's right in front of us. We have to look at the future and the facilities we have and the maintenance that's going to be coming up on the ball fields, just the fences. Austin today, the fences from the weed whackers and all the posts here, it's really good about, and that's not cheap to replace. So that's the stuff we kind of have to think about. With that property, the size of it, what's the biggest footprint we can get in there with the best use? It may not be a 50-year. We as commissioners, I think, have to look at that and really think about it, and not just what a certain group wants. We need to look at the whole community and realize that this building is small, fitness center is small. Could we expand that fitness center and have people support it? The discussions I had with people in some of these meetings, I think we could. But it has to be sold right, communicated right, and understood by what we're trying to accomplish.
I mean, the community survey is very clear that it is, probably 1 in 3
Right.
that had the most support on there. I mean, we can certainly do that. My thought is that this community is really tax averse. I mean, you heard Lee stand up and say how much your taxes are, is, not realizing that 1, Park District is not part of the village, and 2, not realizing how much of a value 4.4, percent of it really is. So, of the 2, and I've told you this, I think that's going to be a hard sell. That's pushing against the wind.
Yeah, probably is.
I mean, we're not, yeah. There's other options for if we did decide later on that we need to replace this, where could we put it?
Well, and
I mean, you
again, I
can
think
keep
just
it on
so
site here.
Right, and just so we're aware, like moving the bathhouse, like I was gonna put it, wanted to put it on the other side too, but, just so we're aware of that we could expand, and we keep that in mind, and we don't spread things out so far, maybe.
You gotta really think it out, yes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to Williams and say, hey, we love option 1, but we need to move the bathhouse, and we need to
Right.
kind of tighten things up a little bit so that we can keep the south end a little bit more open for you know, whatever that may be. I mean, is,
Design, which-
what does it mean to, what does it mean to enclose, you know, this sort of area? I mean, that right there is a Wisconsin Dell kind of, you know, indoor water park. So does that make sense for us to be able to do that?
Right.
No. I mean, that's a huge expense. Woo. That puts us in a different category.
I just think that the building, with the meeting rooms and the fitness area, it's just too small. It's kind of like, why even bother with those rooms? The party room, I can see doing, but like the one at Oriole, it's just too small.
Yeah, so the one over at Oriole is 50 people?
40.
40, this is 75. So we do have a little bit more ability to do that. I think that party room, we could do a lot more with maybe some senior fitness stuff, because it's right on the Civic Center
Okay,
campus,
so-
for lack of a better word. You know, there's better parking over here, it's a
So
lot.
if we decided, let's say to go with like this option, I would look for staff input as far as what we would definitely, well, not definitely, but what potentially those uses would be for those individual rooms, the exercise rooms, whatever, are in whatever plan we pick. Because that would help dictate to square footage, and maybe we make it bigger and take away a little bit from one of the other rooms. What's our best use of that facility and those rooms?
Yeah, well, so that's just room. There's only one
Right.
room that we can use to program.
Right, and
Yeah.
what would that programming be that would go into that room? You know, That's, I would look to the staff for that kind of suggestion.
Well, it does open a lot of possibilities of what we can do. You know, what sticks, that's the kicker.
Right.
But certainly something that we can, you know, a room that size, you could do.
I would really look for staff input on whatever plan we pick, good, bad, otherwise. You know, get some input from the staff. And, you know, especially from your side, Keith, with the maintenance and where things are placed and pumps and water lines, all that stuff. You know, the more you spread stuff out, the more potential you have for higher maintenance costs. And, you know, what the building's gonna be made out of, you know, all those little details that will be done later, but again, we need to look further down the road than just what's in front of us at this plan, and say, you know, it's like when Moretti's got built, they were very smart about the materials they chose, and they got the cost down from what it was originally. So, again, not that we can't do that with this project either. But I just think the more input we have from staff, public, all of that is to our benefit. Honestly.
Yeah, I think all that comes to whatever architectural firm that we use,
Right.
the engineering companies that they sub out to, make sure that, hey, you know, we want to make sure that we put, you know, better quality into the shelves of the pool, the stuff that we
need to
can't.